Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, good night, whatever time you are watching this video. I hope it finds you well. We're in week 9 now, so we're now officially on the downward slope, and things are going to start moving a lot faster now. And so I hope you're ready because it's coming. Oh, Lordy, it's coming! It's coming! It's coming! So by now, you have submitted your first draft of your lesson plans for your video lesson, and I'm looking through them and providing feedback as best I can, trying to be concise to provide you with the meaningful feedback so you can make better lesson plans as we move along. And so, and then your video lessons will be due only after 2 weeks as well. So please make sure that we're paying attention to eClass and keeping abreast of what's all is going on and keeping our schedule clear and knowledgeable about what's going on. So with that, this week we're going to get into some of the individual sounds in English and examining how we make them and the finite differences between them. Specifically, we're talking about bilabial stop B and P, the B sound, and we have the F sound and the V sound, the F, V sound. So it's quite well. It's interesting to me. It's fun for me to do because we're making sounds. But I hope you participate along, and we're going to start by talking about voiced and voiceless and what that means. I think you might have learned about it before, but it's good to review. All right, let's then transition into the main lecture. Let's talk about voicing and what we call voiceless. I think you've learned about this before, but voicing is the idea of using our vocal cords, our voice box. And it is something that we use very, very often, but it's not something we're always aware of in how we say it and how we use it. So this would be quite helpful if you place your fingers on your throat, on the front part of your neck, and when you speak, when you make sounds, you'll feel sometimes there's vibration. You'll feel that in your throat, and sometimes you won't. So, for example, if we make an S sound, we don't feel any vibration. So we call this voiceless. An S sound is voiceless, a voiceless consonant. But let's take the example of just of a ah sound, of ah. Now that's a vowel, obviously, but you can feel the vibration in your throat, and that means it's voiced. And that's the important part. That's that it is voiced. So some consonants are voiced and some are voiceless. So s is voiceless. But if you words like consonants like b, the b sound, b, 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 you can feel it. But the p sound, it's not. So we have the idea of voiced and voiceless. If you ever get confused about if a sound is voiced or voiceless, place fingers on your throat and make the sound. And then you can feel, literally, if it's voiced or voiceless. All right. So voice consonants use more sound, or they use voice. And remember, our throat vibrates. So we can put our finger to our throat or in our ear as well. That's another way of feeling if something is voiced or voiceless. And that's consonants are voiced or voiceless. They're one or the other. But vowels are always voiced. That's how they are. So the example, vote, 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 vote. You can feel that vibration. Vote. Gym, gym, gym. The j, 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 j. You can feel that vibration when you say that sound. And also bed, 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 bed. Go, 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 go. We have v, g, b, j. I got confused with the gym G and the goji. So we can see here, we can feel, not just see, we feel the differences. Voiceless consonants. These don't use vocal cords. So p, t, k, s, f, sh, ch. Those, there's no vibration. The air is just coming out. So these are more blowy, more airy, more whatever they are, but they sound less strong. So the example of the k, 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 that, these are very willowy, whispery kind of consonants. But again, if we put our throat to our finger to our throat, or in our ear, we say p, t, k, s, f, sh, ch. We can feel there's no vibration. And we can feel and know that these are voiceless consonants. This is one of the very basic ways of dividing things up. But these consonants can be voiced or unvoiced again, but vowels are voiced. And we'll get more into this as we move along. Let's take a look at some words here. Now we see the sh, sh, sh. But then we have voiced or, then ert, rr, that kind of voice. But sh is voiceless. Church, church, church. Now the that's voiced because we've got the U and the R, and that's voiced. But the ch is voiceless. So we take a look here at this happy little chart. We see voiced sounds and voiceless sounds. It helps when we see the vowels A, E, I, O, U, B, D, G, J, L, M, N, R, V, W, Ik, Y, Z. But then voiceless, K, F, H, K, P, K, S, T, Ch, Sh. All those fun things. So that's a basic overview of voiced and voiceless. They're fun sounds to make. Sometimes kids like it. You go chicka 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 choo choo, but they are something. Let's take a look at a couple of different sounds, and these are very similar sounds but different. Now, in Professor Spock's class, I know you've gone over points of articulation, so I don't want to go over those in too fine a detail, but it is important to review them. We've got the P sound, the p, 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 and the F sound, f, 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 f. We look at the picture of these of the mouth. We can see for P, the lips are together and they are closed. So it's what we call a bilabial, labial being lip, and bi, of course, meaning two. Bilabial stop, as in the air is stopped. We cannot make a P sound if we don't close our mouth. So let's try making a P sound. Right? Now, this time, let's try making a P sound without fully closing our lips. Let's see what happens. It's not P. It's an H sound. It's a different sound entirely. So we have to articulate. And this is where some speech impediments or speech difficulties come in, where some people can't make those sounds. Notice where the tongue is, and when we make the p, p, p sound, where does the tongue go? It stays where it stays. P, 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 p. But for F, for f, 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 Notice that the lips are not closed, and that the top teeth are go to the bottom lip. That's so we're creating some friction there. The f, 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 f. If we don't put our teeth down, or if we close our lips, what sound gets made? P, p, p. It becomes a bilabial stop. So we have to make sure that we open our lip and put our teeth down. Again, if we don't put our teeth down, though, and don't close our lips, what sound comes out? It's closest to H, but really it's just air coming through. And we notice where the tongue is, it's mostly just staying down in its happy hole. Those sounds. So voiceless. These are all voiceless sounds. Now, let's take a look. Some of these sounds can be very difficult to hear, especially for Korean language learners, because the F sound, the F sound, isn't native. It isn't natural in Korean. So it's substituted with, of course, the piup. And but that's not F, of course. That's a piup sound. So it sounds different. It's a substitute. It's an approximation, but it's not the same at all. For the example of French fries becomes French fries. It's a different sound entirely. But let's take a look here. Pin, 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 fin, 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 peel, 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 feel, feel, feel. This is where we're gonna get some practice in on Flipgrid, because in class, of course, I could, nowadays with our math we can't, but this is where being able to see your mouth pronounce and how you articulate is important. Because we have this word pale, 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 fail, 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 pine, 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 fine, 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 snip, 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 sniff, 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 harp, 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 half, half, half. Now, of course, with the R and L, that's also another point of difficulty for Korean speakers that we'll get into as we move along. But this is for right now. We're practicing, and I hope you're practicing along wherever you are. Hopefully at home. Hopefully in a private area, so you don't look like a crazy person, because that can happen, And that happens. Fill in, fill in, fill in. Photograph, photograph, photograph. Be aware that even though it's a P sound, of course, we pronounce it as an F sound. Remember that sound, that phonology, that pronunciation is not spelling. It's kind of it's how it is. Photograph. Friendly, friendly, friendly. Office, office, office. 5, 5, 5. Soft, soft, soft. Finished, finished, finished. Myself, myself, myself. Difficult, difficult, difficult. Profile, profile, profile. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Now, of course, we pronounce it more like this. Laugh, laugh, even though it's a GH sound. Wife, wife, wife. We have a lot of F sound practice there. Very nice. So these are some phrases to help us practice. And I'm going to ask you to say them as well, to read them as well. And so listen and say, listen and say. And then on Flipgrid as a task, you'll need to say these as well. But let's start practicing now. So number 1, keep a fast pace. It's your turn. One more time. Keep a fast pace. Number 2, fair play or foul play? Fair play or foul play? Number 3. Get off the phone, Fred, snapped father. Get off the phone, Fred, snapped father. Get off the phone, Fred, snapped father. Yeah. And number 4. Paul can't help fumbling the football. Paul can't help fumbling the football. Paul can't help fumbling the football. So Paul can't help fumbling the football. All right, nice practice. Now, 3, 2, 1. Now let's take a look at ba and v. Ba, v. So this is, of course, the B sound and the V sound. Now with B, we see here the lips are closed. Bilabial stop. And we see the teeth are open. So it's ba, 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 ba. So you can hear, as you might remember, the points of articulation where your mouth body part, where your mouth parts are going, are the same as in P, but for one big difference. And what is that one big difference? That is absolutely correct. It is voicing. Voicing is the big difference. B's are voiced and P's are not. So we have here b, 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 voiced. P, 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 p is not. And here we have v, the V. And look at the points of articulation here. You might notice some similarities with with our last friend, with the letter F, the sound F. With f, we see the lips are open, the top teeth are down on top of the bottom lip, creating friction, and they are offset, and the teeth are going through, but v, 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 v is voiced, while f, 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 f is not. So we see how voicing is an important distinction, because we have some words, or some, not words, excuse me, some sounds, some phenoms that's their only difference, is the voicing. So it is important to know, and it is important to try to help students with that. So let's take a look at these words that are similar, but not the same. Let's practice here. Bet, bet, bet. Best, best, best. Ban, ban, ban. Okay? Let's go to the V's. Vet, vet, vet. These might be difficult to hear. The difference is bet, vet, bet, vet. So something that I do, that I've become aware of doing entirely actually, is that I put extra stress on my V sounds to make sure you can hear the the vibration of the V. So so bet, vet, bet, vet. So I make my V's a little bit longer so you can hear the V sound. If you make it short, vet, then it becomes harder to hear. Bet, vet, bet, vet, bet, vet, bet, vet, bet, bet, vet. It's a little easier, a little. So, for example, best, vest, best, vest, ban, van, ban, van, ban, van. Moving further down the list, bolts, volts, bolts, volts, bolts, volts, boat, vote, boat, vote, boat, vote, bowl, vol, bowl, vol, bowl, vol. So hopefully you can hear, and more importantly, you can feel the difference between the two sounds that we're hearing. Let's move on to the second half of the list. November, November, November. Love, love, love. Driving, driving, driving. Victor, victor, victor. Vine, vine, vine. Living, living, living. have, village, 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 valley, 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 lived, 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 leaves, 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 leaving, leaving, leaving. There we go. Some nice practice. Some very nice practice indeed. Excellent job, everyone. So here we have some 4 sentences to help us that we can practice. Number 1, it's better to give than to receive. It's better to give than to receive. It's better to give than to receive. Betty loves the velvet vest best. Ooh, that's a nice one. Betty loves the velvet vest best. Betty loves the velvet vest best. Number 3, will you phone before you visit the farm? Will you phone before you visit the farm? Will you phone before you visit the farm? Number 4, Invasion of Privacy is the new album by Cardi B. Invasion of Privacy is the new album by Cardi B. So there we go. We got some nice. And we're back. Thank you for enjoying. Yeah, that's a nice word. Let's say enjoying that lecture about some different sounds that we make with our mouths. Voicing and voiceless, rather, do come up a lot, and it's not the most difficult thing in the world to understand, but it is a nice thing to make sure that we do understand. I want to talk a little bit more about our lesson plans and our video lesson plans. There are some general points of confusion that I want to address now before we get too far ahead. The video lessons you're making are not full lessons. They're not 40 minutes long. They are hopefully no more than 5 minutes long. So make sure that on your lesson plans, you are adjusting that. You are making a lesson plan for your lesson, which will be 3 or 4 or 5 minutes long. So make sure you're not planning a lesson to be 40 minutes and then you're trying to record a 40-minute lesson plan, because that's not what the assignment is. You're making a bite size and a little appetizer kind of lesson. This is your first lesson that you're making, and so I don't want to bombard you with all the pressures of making a 40-minute lesson plan at this time. So make sure that you make your lesson plans reflect the actual lesson that you are designing and preparing to make. And it's a good idea that your lesson is prepared in such a way that you're ready to make it and it's feasible for you to make it. So it's something to bear that in mind, that you are going to make this lesson. You are going to do this. So make sure that your lesson plan, it's something that you have all the stuff to do it with. Can you do this? So make sure that you have your lesson plans really reflect the real lessons that you are thinking about doing. If you're just making stuff up, then I can't help you make a better lesson if I'm giving you feedback on something else, on something that's not your regular lesson. So we'll have to bear that in mind as we move along. I'm going to attach a short supplementary video just talking about pronunciation a bit more. And then also there will be a Flipgrid assignment, just practicing with the different sounds that we learned and talked about today. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you and goodbye.